Okay, welcome guys. Coach Roel here again. This time I am very honored and pleased to have the pleasure of being able to join me in an interview on Cashflow Corner, Mr. Josh Collins. Josh, how are you doing there?
Fine, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent, excellent. By the way, where exactly are you zooming in from right now?
I live in Woodbury, Minnesota, which is a suburb of St. Paul. I mean, we're, 10 minutes from downtown here. So.
Okay, great. So not to take away too much of your thunder, but Josh is a developer of self-storage facilities, both on the, correct me if I'm wrong, on the mini, but mostly on the maxi side now.
Correct.
How would you define your occupation, your business, in your words?
Boy, my occupation, this is a hard one because I guess I almost still see myself as a project manager. My background is a civil engineer. I worked in the railroad industry for 10 years, I want to say. Then I started my own railroad construction company, and that I did for 4 years. We sold our construction company. I worked for them for another 4 years. So really, I was in the railroad industry for 18 years. But being that I'm a civil engineer, most of my stuff kind of surrounded the construction side of things, and it was all heavy highway or railroad heavy highway. So, not necessarily like home or building construction, but it was a pretty easy transition as far as, going from that side of engineering to that side of project management, I should say, to project managing my own facilities. I always tell people that I didn't know it all, but I mostly knew the questions to ask, which kind of gets you a good ways down the road. So.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get started? What were you doing? Were you always in construction?
Pretty much. Again, most of it was from the engineering side of things, and so being a consultant. But then I jumped ship because I sort of saw. So my initial thought process was, okay, I want to retire at the age of 55, and I started to think, man, I'm doing really well. I have all this money in my 401k, and then it kind of dawned on me that doesn't help you. That doesn't really help you retire at 55. That helps you retire at 65.
Uh-huh.
So,
what age were you when you got that idea?
30, 31, something like that.
Okay, so you're thinking 25-year timeline.
And then on top of that, I realized that saving whatever, maxing it out, what was it, like 15 grand at the time? I just realized that, boy, that's going to be hard to get kind of where I wanted to go. And so anyways, I just sort of knew that for me to really grow my income and my net worth exponentially, we kind of needed to do something more than just a W-2 income. And so that's kind of where the idea of starting the railroad construction company came from, kind of ramp things up. And we actually did pretty well, frankly, for those couple years that we were doing that. But at the same time, I also saw that it was kind of killing me and my family. So we selling. We got a windfall of money, of course, and that's really where it started us down the self-storage path. Is we were looking. Well, we did the quick math. We're like, oh yeah, we'd like a car. We'd like to redo our bathroom and our master bedroom. We'd like to redo finish our basement. And after all that was said and done, we would have had like 50 grand left over. And it was just sort of like this eureka moment of if we did all that work for 50 grand, that seems like the biggest waste of energy and life that we could have possibly found. So anyway, so we decided, okay, we're not doing any of that. We're going to just park it in some real estate, and we bought a mini storage and a larger warehouse next door from the mini storage. And really, what kind of turned us on to the warehouse is it just so happened that it was across the street, just so happened that it was for sale, but we knew that the entire time that I had my construction company, we were looking for a place to put our stuff, to store our equipment and store our materials, that sort of thing. And it's really, really difficult here in the Twin Cities. And I've kind of come to realize that it's actually pretty difficult, most places around the country. And so that's kind of what got us our start looking at the maxi storage stuff. Is we had this warehouse that we went from like $250 a month for a 3,000 square foot unit, And we're now pushing over 1,000. I mean, it's the ugliest, kind of crappiest, it's the lowest common denominator of storage, frankly. But
Yeah.
we raised rents, and we realized that every time that came up for rent, it was instant. And so then that's kind of what kicked us into developing that sort of space too. So.
Okay. So quick little recap. So you were working as a consultant first, then you ventured out and started your own business. Is that right?
Yep.
And then working that business for how long?
4 years, sold, worked for them for 4 years. And then, because I had done a development while I was working for them. And then I was working on wrapping that up, but I also I started another development, or I bought property, and I just said, I can't keep working for these guys and do 2 developments at the same time. It was more of I think I could have fit it in my schedule, but it was more of this isn't really fair to them. I mean, I would have been very distracted, and we basically had sort of climbed the ladder to get to that break even point as far as like our finances. And we knew that with this new facility coming online, that it would kick us up and over and, into the good life, let's just call it, but, up and over that sort of covering our monthly costs.
What was the how were you able to, was all this stuff like second nature to you, or did you have how would you say your, I guess, couple of key factors to your success being?
I would say absolutely not, in that we bought those first 2 properties. We put them on 10-year loans. What we said is that, listen, we got our money parked here. It's not going to go away. And if we can, by some stretch of the imagination, pay these off in 10 years, we could be retired. Like, that would cover our costs. And that was our plan. Well, that was our plan for all of about a year. And then we developed the next property, and we needed some capital. So we refinanced one, took some money out, and realized that, okay, so instead of just covering our costs, we could actually do a lot better if we kind of leveraged up. But I think we kind of did it in a smart way, in that we were building so much equity by developing that it sort of made sense for us to do that. But no, it started off as, this is a 10-year plan. In 10 years, we're gonna be able to retire. It's gonna be awesome. And not that was really the plan, but it was just sort of like this sort of tongue-in-cheek, theory on how we were gonna do this. And then, but by building the next facility, we really, it really took it to the next level. And we realized that, man, this is where the real money is, and really growing our net income. And so so it eventually became the plan, but it certainly wasn't at the start.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges for you to get from back then to where you are now?
It all happened pretty organically, in that we bought the mini, we bought the large warehouse. We realized that these warehouses rent really quick. So we said, hey, we'll try development. We tried the development. We built one building, or actually we built 2 buildings. We said, listen, we're not going to build another one until these are rented up. Well, they rented up right away. And then we started getting calls for people that wanted a different product. We're just like, no, we don't really have a smaller size, so this isn't going to work. Well, we got enough of those calls. We developed another facility which basically answered those people's questions. So that part hasn't been really that difficult, because we just keep building what people are kind of asking for. So that's the easy part. The hard part, at least in my opinion, has been, okay, where are we going to find the cash next to be able to put enough money down? Because we've just done, well, other than our first 2 properties, we've done SBA loans for the 2 developments we've done. And so we've only had to put 10% down because we had existing experience. So that's super helpful, but we still had to come up with that. So we ended up selling the initial mini that we had. We also bought a small little property in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that we sold. We made a little bit of money, but like, we just kind of kept refining and, sort of sold our smaller properties off, such that we could kind of keep sort of levering up. And now we're sort of sitting on some equity in those 2 properties. So now I'm starting to try to think, okay, how can we get some of that out? But this latest property we bought, we actually ended up partnering, and that was sort of the maturation of this process for me is, okay, we pretty much tapped out our own resources. We need to get to the next level. And I think that this next level so far is we partnered, we found a great partner. I think that's going to go wonderfully, but I mean, I also just tapped out that partner, right? So we need to keep sort of iterating this. Where are we going to get capital from? And that so far it's sort of been the trickiest, but it's actually one of the parts that I like the most. It's kind of like the deal making sort of mode of me. So I enjoy that, but that's been the trickiest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with the initial challenge of finding additional capital, you sold that one smaller property, then you found a capital partner. Was it just the one capital partner, or did you pool together a handful of people?
Well, this one, and this is kind of how I wanted to go about it, is that I really wanted to find one capital partner. We both had, I'm sure to the bigger fish out there, it's probably not a lot of money, but to us, this was a lot of money. And we found another person who was really in a similar position to us, in that he had some basically money stashed away that he was looking to put to work. And it just so happened that it was right about the amount that we sort of needed, and he was totally on board. And boy, I kind of feel like I caught lightning in a bottle there to a certain degree. But yeah, we found just one partner, and the nice thing is that I think it for exploring this partnership model, I guess I'm happy to only have to do it with one person, frankly. And I gave him a nice cut of the deal, mainly because I'm like, Mark, listen, you're going to have to put up with my learning or my growing pains here. And lo and behold, it really wasn't too terrible. It really, the whole process went mostly the same, but there's a little more lending requirements and paperwork and stuff like that. But otherwise, I mean, it's really gone pretty much the same. But now we haven't gone to like the syndication model yet, and I have a feeling that that's going to be another sort of step up in work that's needed. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So along the way, how did you get involved with the Scott Meyer's group in self-storage investing?
I was posting on Bigger Pockets a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Mostly about self-storage stuff, because I don't know, this is a couple years ago now, but at the time there really wasn't much for networking and self-storage realm, I guess. I'd say now it's not self-storage isn't huge or anything now, but at the same time it's certainly gaining popularity, right? And so at that time, I was just kind of searching for anybody that I could talk to about self-storage, and I found it on Bigger Pockets. Well, Scott and his gang reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in coaching? And I actually thought that this would be an amazing opportunity for me to sort of hone my skills, maybe learn a few things that I didn't know about. And then also, and really the main selling point for me is that now I'm part of this larger network of experts, frankly, and almost any question that I can come up with, somebody in Scott's network is going to know, right? And so, I mean, that's really valuable to me, and it was really what attracted me to the idea of coaching, other than, of course, sharing my knowledge, which I think is valuable for folks that are just getting started. So,
So now, how would you define your role within the Scott Meyer's organization?
Well, I'm a coach. I'm also, I actually just am taking over, starting tomorrow, I'm taking over the monthly Q&A call for the coaching students. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. I'm kind of wondering, it's fun for me to kind of think back of what were my initial questions, but I'm kind of also excited to hear what other people's questions are. And I'm really hoping that I can just sort of like, give them put that virtual arm around them and say, like, it's going to be okay, that sort of thing. Kind of reassure them that this is a wise investment, that it's really not as hard as you think it's not as hard as your brain makes it out to be. At the end of the day, you try to make more money than you spend, and try to keep it simple. So,
excellent. All right. Well, I think we want to take a short break there. And we'll switch over to my YouTube channel, the Coach Roel YouTube channel, and we'll delve into a couple of deeper questions and see where the conversation takes us.
Super.
Thanks again for joining us here at Self-Storage Investing. We really, really appreciate it. For more great content like this, make sure to click the subscribe button below this video. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Bigger Pockets. You can also visit us at our main website at selfstorageinvesting.com, where you'll find even more free content, our ebook, and registration to our free webinars and education courses. and much, much more. Once again, for more great content like this, please click the subscribe button below. Thank you.